Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. When we consider that Yahweh has called a remnant of Israel, as it is written, all of Israel shall be saved, but they are not all Israel which are of Israel. When we consider those things, we must consider the duty, the amount that is put forth for that remnant, that remnant must be able to make sure happens. And a lot of times we don't do things because we believe that we have a whole lot of time. And when we consider the great amount of work that needs to be done, we do not want to end up in that situation whereby Yahshua returns and we haven't finished the work that we're supposed to do. We haven't finished the things that we were called in this word to do, that we haven't provided the things that we needed to provide to further the kingdom. The last thing we want to do is to have to stand before Yahshua with an excuse, instead of a testimony of the things that we have done, the things that we have provided for the word, the things that we have sacrificed, the spiritual sacrifices that we have made for Yahweh's holy kingdom. On the way here, I'm rushing. We got all kind of things, we had to, bring the meal, and we bring in and praise Yahweh for everybody who participated in our yard sale. It was a success, and as the people who are here see, we have a television here in the sanctuary to show the graphics. For several weeks now, the people who are on the internet have been seeing graphics, but the people who are here were not able to see those graphics. So I don't think sometimes the people who are on the internet don't really see how much our team really does go all the way out to try to make sure that their stuff is delivered in a way that they can be able to receive the word. So since we began, this will be the first time that the people here will be able to actually see the graphics that the people on the internet have been seeing, and that was due to our yard sale. So praise Yahweh for that. But I'm trying to come here early to get the television set up. Sometimes this is a key part. Yahweh is not only is he a need to know Elohim, he is one of those gods that when he deals with things, and you have to case in point, when we say, hey, I'll be there next Sabbath, we say Yah's will, I'll be there next Sabbath, because the truth is we don't know what's going to happen between this Sabbath or the last Sabbath and this Sabbath. We don't know what's going to happen between today and tomorrow. So if it's Yahweh's will, we'll be present at this thing that we desire to be there for. Well, on the way here, and my objective is to get here early, because I need to set up this television, and I wanted to go through the stuff. I didn't want to be fiddling with it, trying to figure out where the cord's at, where the button. So I did all that at home. See, this is that thing that sometimes people don't, consider, that you give Yahweh your best effort. Your first fruit is the first of your fruit, the first of your increase. So rather than come in here fiddling with the buttons and trying to figure out, Benel, you got a cord? Well, we ain't got no cord. Why you only got no cord? Then we walk around trying to find a cord. No, I'm going to go and I'm going to do all of that at my house. I'm going to get all that together. So when I got here, it didn't take much time to set up. But of course, I was giving myself extra time, right? Well, let me show you what the extra time was for. Yahweh don't really tell you what everything is about. So I leave the house early, get to the edge of my, come out of my neighborhood, and a car is flipped over in a ditch. Couple of people have stopped. Now everybody's starting to converge on the scene. I pull up. It's a lady trapped in the car. All the brothers got to get together, knock the window out. One brother jumps in the car so he can open the door so everybody can get together. People holding the door open while other people are pulling this woman out of the car. Now, of course, I thought I was getting up early so I can get this TV set up. See, that's the first thing you got to understand in dealing with Yahweh. You don't know jack. All right? I'm the priest of this congregation, and all I know is what Yahweh let me know. And if you don't get that through your head, you're going to have some serious problems in this walk. Because my objective was one thing, but Yahweh didn't really care how he led me there. Because one brother wasn't going to be able to get this sister out. She all on one side. People got to crawl down inside the car, open the front door, fling it open. That door keeps falling back down because it's upside down. It's sitting sideways, rather. So somebody got to hold it. 2 or 3 more brothers is pulling this sister out. So I'm on one side of the sister. I wouldn't have been able to do that. There were several people that were needed to be there. Meanwhile, a sister is on the phone doing all the calling 911, trying to get the ambulance and the fire department there. All those people, and only one person ended up seeing the accident. Somebody pulled out in front of the sister, and she dodged them and ran over into the ditch. And they kept going. So we all believe that we got time to do, we just keep putting off a lot of times. Well, I know I need to do such and such, but, I'll do it, some other time. That sister's life could have ended. The car smoking. Everybody scared to go up to the car because don't nobody know if it's going to catch on fire. But everybody moved to do what they needed to do. And it is amazing that in times of turmoil, we show more togetherness than when everything is going right. When everything is going right, every last one of those people who were there, none of us would have spoke to each other. Everybody would have went on about their business. Nobody would have spoke to anybody. Nobody would have asked this. We was all at, who got a hammer? Who got this? Who got that? Everybody is pulling together in a split second. That's what turmoil does. So those people who want to serve without any problems, you're going to have a problem because you're running from problems. Yahweh is one of those Elohims that ends up calling and pulling the best out of you through the most inopportune situations. So if you're trying to orchestrate everything, you're going to have a problem with Yahweh. But brother, would you read the oracles and entreat the angel that stands at the door to come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may make this a holy convocation by the angel's presence?
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear, than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. We're going to begin today's sermon in Exodus chapter 35. Exodus chapter 35, and we're going to begin that at verse 1. And today's sermon is entitled Reverencing the Sanctuary. Reverencing the Sanctuary. And we do have Bible trivia for today's sermon. And if you want a copy of the trivia questions, send an email to theuci.org@gmail.com, and we will make sure that those things are sent out to you. Exodus chapter 35, and let's begin that at verse 1.
And Moshe gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together, and said unto them, These are the words which Yahweh hath commanded, that you should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be to you an holy day, a Shabbat of rest to Yahweh. Whosoever does work therein shall be put to death. You shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. And Moshe spake unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which Yahweh commanded, saying, Take you from among you an offering unto Yahweh. Whosoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it an offering of Yahweh. Gold and silver and brass.
Now, consider one thing. When they came out of Egypt, he said, borrow all of these things of the Egyptians. Now, then you have, here we get to the point that a building is needed to be built, and now there are things that are needed. And I always ask people, do you ever consider that everything that's given to you is not given for your personal consumption? Because now he's asking for offerings to go ahead and build this thing. Go ahead.
And blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair, and rams' skins dyed red, and badger skins and shittim wood, and oil for the light, and spices for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense, and onyx stones, and stones to be set for the ephod, and for the breastplate. And every wise-hearted among you shall come, and make all that Yahweh has commanded. The tabernacle, his tent, and his covering, his taches, and his boards, his bars, his pillars, and his sockets, the ark, and the staves thereof, with the mercy seat, and the veil of the covering, the table, and his staves, and all his vessels, and the showbread, the candlestick also for the light, and his furniture, and his lamps, with the oil for the light, and the incense altar, and his staves, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging for the door at the entering in of the tabernacle, the altar of burnt offering, with his brazen grate, his staves, and all his vessels, the laver and his foot, the hangings of the court, his pillars, and their sockets, and the hanging for the door of the court, the pins of the tabernacle, and the pins of the court, and their cords.
So we see that this is pretty involved. And Yahweh is extremely detailed. Go ahead.
The cloths of service to do service in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons to minister in the priest office. And all the congregation of the children of Israel departed from the presence of Moshe. And they came, everyone whose heart stirred him up, and everyone whom his spirit made willing.
Right. So when you deal with who end up coming to do these things, people who are of a willing heart. See? If you ain't of a willing heart, there's going to be something wrong with your offering anyway. See? When people do stuff but they really don't want to do it, then it's a tainted offering anyway. That's why when it was time to go to war, they said, all the people that are faint-hearted and you scared, go home. Because all you're going to do is cause the rest of us problems. That's what you're going to do. Because you came, but you ain't really come. Go ahead.
And they brought Yahweh's offering of the work.
Middle of 21 of the tabernacle of the...
And they brought Yahweh's offering to the work of the tabernacle of the congregation, and for all his service, and for the holy garments. Verse 22. And they came, both men and women, as many as were willing-hearted.
As many as were willing-hearted, men and women. Go ahead.
And brought bracelets and earrings and rings and tablets, all jewels of gold.
Hold on. We don't remember where they got that stuff? Don't remember where they got that stuff? They said, borrow you of the Egyptians. See? Now, earrings of gold. Now, remember now, first time they took their earrings out, they ended up making them a calf. See? So they wasted Yahweh's substance on forming them an idol. So when you then find out that those offerings were to be made for his tabernacle, now you understand why Yahweh was extra peeved at him. See, those things were supposed to be for something else. But we do the same thing. We give all Yahweh, we give all the heathen our chief time, our chief money, our chief attention, and we give Yahweh what we got left over. Go ahead.
And every man that offered an offering of gold unto Yahweh. And every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and red skins of rams and badger skins brought them. Every one that did offer an offering of silver and brass brought Yahweh's offering. And every man with whom was found shittim wood for any work of the service brought it. And all the women that were wise-hearted did spin with their hands, and brought that which they had spun, both of blue and of purple and of scarlet and of fine linen. And all the women whose hearts stirred them up in wisdom spun goat's hair. And the rulers brought onyx stones and stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate, and spice and oil for the light and for the anointing oil and for the sweet incense. The children of Israel brought a willing offering unto Yahweh, every man and woman, whose heart made them willing to bring for all manner of work, which Yahweh had commanded to be made by the hand of Moshe. And Moshe said unto the children of Israel, See, Yahweh has called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah. And he has filled him with the spirit of Elohim, in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship.
Now, this is what I try to explain to people. First, you got all of these people who were wise-hearted. Now we see that Yahweh has designated wisdom and workmanship to be placed inside this one individual. Now, there are other people that have the ability to do these other things, and people don't understand why they have the ability to do certain things. See, they think it's about their whole personal glory. This was for the glory of Yahweh's house. So here it is. Yahweh is telling Moshe to do all of these things. Keep in mind that Moshe is a Yahweh servant. He's talking to Yahweh face to face like no one has ever. But Moshe don't know how to do this. This is the part where you have to let Yahweh lead you. Here it is. He has told him to do all of these things, but Moshe don't know how to spin goat's hair. He don't know how to do this stuff. Yahweh has already put in somebody's heart the ability to do all of these things. So Yahweh set something up, and then he sets up individuals to be able to accomplish that. And then those individuals are put in the sanctuary. So a lot of people who come here may not understand that Yahweh called them with a specific job in mind. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 35 and verse 32. And to devise curious works, to work in gold and in silver and in brass, and in the cutting of stones, to set them, and in the carving of wood, to make any manner of cunning work. And he has put in his heart that he may teach both he and Ahilab, the son of Esaac, of the tribe of Dan. Them has he filled with the wisdom of heart to work all manner of work, of the engraver, and of the cunning workman, and of the embroider, in blue and in purple, in scarlet and in fine linen, and of the weaver, even of them that do any work, and of those that devise cunning work.
You see that? And of them that do any work, and of those that devise cunning work. These were just the leaders of that particular thing. But Yahweh had put this gift into these various people. Now, consider Yahweh put the gift, but you just feel like you want to do something else. Exodus chapter 36, and let's read verses 1 through 7.
Then wrought Bezalel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man, in whom Yahweh put wisdom and understanding, to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that Yahweh had commanded. And Moshe called Bezalel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man, in whose heart Yahweh had put wisdom, even everyone whose heart stirred him up to come on to the work to do it. And they received of Moshe all the offering, which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, to make it withal. And they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning.
They brought unto him free offerings every morning for all of these things that need to be done. Go ahead.
And all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. And they spake unto Moshe, saying, The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work, which Yahweh commanded to make. And Moshe gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, Let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing.
So the people are restrained from bringing because they have brought so much. Now they said, look, we got too much stuff. But this was of a willing thing. Did nobody have to beat them down and tell them what the law said? You should bring 10%. The law said, Yahweh said, these are the things that are needed for the house. And they of a willing heart brought so much that they had to then tell them to stop. Go ahead, finish that up.
For the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much.
And too much. So they ended up with too much stuff to deal with it. Now, part of what you have to consider here, Yahweh gave the children of Israel this substance coming out of Egypt. They would then, as you see, they're using some of these same things to build his tabernacle, but we see that before that was done, they were going to do something else with it and started doing something else with it. And along the journey, you have to let Yahweh do what he does. The people have to, and in the beginning, because when we started meeting at my house, and I was unwilling to ask anybody for money, to donate to all of the things that we did. And I was able to, financially cover all of it. So I never asked anything. And Yahweh showed his displeasure about it, because I had a contract that I had for 10 years. And I ended up losing that contract. And Yahweh was going out through all of this to make a point. See, the people have to have input in the building of the house. One individual can't build a house. See? Because it ain't that individual house. It's Yahweh's house. So when I got this building, soon as we got in here, lost the contract for 10 months. And I had been one of those people talking about, the people who would pay their tithe and wouldn't pay their light bill. For 10 months, I ended up paying the rent here and not paying my own mortgage. Yahweh hey, he got the butter from the duck then, Jack. He made me prove this thing. And that's what Yahweh will make you do. Because he's not going to take no half effort. Especially not from the one standing in the front. So when you consider that Yahweh made sure that they would have these substances leaving out of Egypt, then they turn around and built this calf for another god. Then you read this, you further see why he was so angry about those things. In Leviticus 19, it says, "You shall keep my Sabbaths," but then he says, "and you reverence my sanctuary." Now, to have reverence, the definition in Strong's says, it's H3372, and it says to fear, morally to revere, causatively to frighten, affright, afraid, dreadful, reverence. Then we go to, if we look in Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 33, it says, "Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife as even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband." So it's not this fear that it's the fear of respect, okay, that you have there. And when you look in Strong's on the word that's used in Ephesians 5, it's phobeo, which is G5399, and it says to frighten, that is to be alarmed, by analogy, to be in awe of. Now you consider that, to be in awe of something, there's a certain way you deal with it. So Yahweh says, reverence my sanctuary. Then a woman is said to have reverence for her husband. So you consider how the woman is supposed to look at her husband. Then you have the way that the man is supposed to look at the sanctuary. Yahweh is poetic in the things that he ends up telling us to do. In Hebrews chapter 12, it says, "Wherefore we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace whereby we may serve Elohim acceptably with reverence and godly fear." So this godly fear, this real respect that is supposed to be there. This thing is needed for us to do things, because when we don't have a certain amount of respect, there's a certain way we deal with things. See, when folks' parents go out of town, you come through the house trash, because ain't nobody that they respect. So they carry it in a way that they don't, really have this reverence for it. They really don't respect it like that. And you can find people who are given things over and over and over. You see how they constantly tear it up, and see how they don't really have the respect of the one that gave it to them. Because if they did, they would say, you know what? Hey, look, I'm going to have some problems if I keep tearing this up. Because, Papa don't take no junk. Now, he gave me this thing, but let me tell you something. I keep tearing this up. Me and Papa going to have some problems. So consider when Yahweh gives us something, he is holding us accountable for how we deal with it. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19.
Matthew chapter 19 and verse 16.
Matthew 19, and let's read verses 16 through 30.
And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do, that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why call you me good?
The first thing you have to notice is he didn't ask, what good thing that I shall do that I might go to heaven? See, these are things that we end up reading and going right by. Yet all of these people, we have been taught for years upon years that everybody dies and goes zip-tang into heaven. Yet, when we read the thing about Lazarus, he said, when the Messiah was talking to Martha, he said, your brother shall rise again. She said, I know he shall rise again at the last day, at the resurrection. She never expected him to be in heaven. So these wives' fables that we've been taught, when you start reading this book and understanding what it says, those wives' fables have to start disappearing from your heart and your mind. But it's still difficult even though you know it. Sometimes it's difficult because we're creatures of habit. And we want to hold on to some of that stuff. Go ahead.
Why calleth you me good? There's none good but one, that is Elohim. But if you will enter into life, keep the commandments. And he says unto him, Which? Yahshua says, You shall do no murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness. Honor your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man says unto him, All these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet?
Now see, this is where one bit of leaven leavens the whole lump. The question that he asked was one thing, okay? What shall I do that I may have eternal life? You have to look at several parts of this. He says, keep the commandments. He says, which? Now, there are a lot of people that teach these are all the things you have to do. He says you shall do no murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness. Honor your father and your mother and love your neighbor as yourself. So they said, look, I got all of this. Okay? What people don't understand is verse 19, to honor your father, you got a natural father. And then you have a spiritual father, which is Yahweh. If you're going to honor him, there's some things that you got to understand out of the foundation of this book. So you got a natural father and you got a spiritual father. You got a natural mother and you got a spiritual mother. Yahweh is your father. Your spiritual mother is the church. Yahweh has sent Yahshua to come and deal with those things of the church. And he gave himself for the church. And then when you deal with you shall love your neighbor as yourself, there's a whole lot of things in the law you have to be able to understand to be able to love your neighbor as yourself. Because some people gauge that, well, if I want such and such, I believe then I should let my neighbor have the ability to want those same things. And in certain instances, that's true. But when you get back into this law code, there are things that are in this law that talk about if you borrow something from your neighbor, if you loan something, if you take a pledge, all of these things. So to be able to love your neighbor as yourself, you can't do that just on what you think, feel, and believe. There are some things that you need to understand in this book to be able to love your neighbor as yourself, because some people mistreat themselves. So is it then all right to mistreat your neighbor because You find somebody who ain't quite right and they slap themselves, so they believe, hey, it's all right for me to go over there and slap you from, because I slap myself. So I love him as I love myself. No. There's a problem with that. Because, see, this book tells us how we are supposed to do that. Remember the tale of the Good Samaritan and how there was a Levite that saw this brother all blooded up, and he walked by on the other side of the street. Then there was this Samaritan. Now the Samaritans and the children of Israel, the children of Yehuda, they don't have any dealings with each other because they was in split kingdoms, okay? So they don't talk to one another. But the Samaritan was the one that got the wounded person, bound him up, took him to the inn, paid for it, and said, when I come back, if it's any more money that's needed, I'll pay that for you. Then the question was asked, so which one of them was a neighbor unto him? See, we don't deal with this quite right. See, we think that if we okay with something, then our neighbor is okay with it. You don't get to judge what's right and wrong. How you feel is how you feel, and everybody feels some way. So you got to back up to the book and see, what does the book say about that particular thing? Go ahead.
Verse 21. Yahshua said unto him, if you will be perfect, go and sell that you have, and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me.
Now, had the brother not asked the next question, he probably would have been all right. He had already asked the question, and the question was answered. Verse 20, the young man said unto him, all these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? See, this is where you have to learn how to shut your mouth. He asked the question. The question was answered. He then went on top of that and got himself in some trouble. What lack I yet? See, that's that little bit of leaven that then leavens the whole lump. The issue was done. You asked the question. He answered the question. It's over. But there's just a little bit of hint of minty freshness still left there. So he says, what lack I yet? What you asked that for? Now, he then goes to the next level. Oh, if you're going to be perfect, go and sell everything you have. Now, there ain't one of us in the room that wouldn't have been hurt at that saying. But here's the question. That might not have been said to you had you shut your mouth. Go ahead.
Verse 22. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Then said Yahshua unto his disciples, verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. When his disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, who then can be saved? But Yahshua beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with Elohim all things are possible. Then answered Cephas and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed you. What shall we have therefore?
Now, consider when you deal with, it says, a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of Elohim. But he says, this is still possible. So it's not that money is going to keep you from going into the kingdom. It is the comfort that money brings. See? An uncomfortable situation just now brought about 10 to 12 brothers who never talked to each other together to do something in a split instant. Didn't nobody have to hold no meeting. Ain't nobody got to talk to nobody. Ain't nobody have to send out a text to ask somebody. No, there's somebody who gonna die if we don't get them out this car. Let's move now. Then you have the comfort. Now, consider something now. It says a rich man shall hardly enter the kingdom of heaven. Yahweh says what? when I have fed you to the full, and when I gave you goodly houses. And he said it before. He said, you're going to turn your back on me. Said it in the law through Moshe, then turn around and said it through the prophets. When I fed you to the full, and when I put you in comfortable houses, then you sinned against me. And this is when we get that comfort zone, because, you know, we done made it now. See, we got it. See, we the richest slaves on the face of the earth. See, so much, in fact, that we don't even remember that we slaves. But then people remind you every week that you're still a slave. While y'all was watching all this turmoil going on about Trump, did y'all catch the little ticker tape that went across the bottom? That the Philando Castile, the cop that shot him, mm-hmm. he's found not guilty. Mm-hmm. Now the man was shot, unarmed, had the same job for 13 years, got a permit to carry a concealed weapon, not a criminal. They don't give criminals permits to carry concealed weapons. Killed on tape, still no prosecution for the killer. See, the problem with us is we haven't figured out that we're still slaves here. See, that's our problem. That's why we start to get high and mighty and the nose start to get turned up. Because we think we somebody. We actually believe the hype. Yet them folks remind you daily. You still the children of ex-slaves. And no matter how much money you get, and no matter how comfortable your housing is, they're going to remind you that you are still the descendants of slaves. Go ahead, bro.
Matthew chapter 19 and verse 28. And Yahshua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that you which have followed me, in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right. You that have forsaken houses and brethren, and all of these things. But consider now that there's a possible schism in there. Remember, we talked about reverence, right? That we're supposed to have a reverence for the sanctuary, but then it says that a woman is supposed to reverence her husband. Okay? But consider if there's a bit of jealousy in the man as the woman reverences him and then have reverence for the sanctuary. Maybe, you know, he wants to be the only reverence thing in her life. That's a problem right there. That's going to be a problem. Because now she can't have reverence for both of those things at the same time. This is why some people have to forsake houses, brethren, sisters, father, mother, or wife, because they got other people along that way that won't let them have that reverence that they're supposed to have. So they choose the things of Yahweh, and they forsake the things that will not allow them to walk the way that they are supposed to walk. Go ahead.
Verse 29, and everyone that has forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. Mm-hmm. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
All right, let's go to Psalm 69. Psalm 69, and let's read verses 1 through 9.
Psalm 69 and verse 1. Save me, O Elohim, for the waters are come in unto my soul. I sink in deep mire, where there is no standing. I am come into deep waters, where the floods overflow me. I am weary of my crying, my throat is dry. Mine eyes fail while I wait for my Elohim. They that hate me without a cause are more than the hairs of mine head. They that would destroy me, being mine enemies, wrongfully are mighty. Then I restored that which I took not away.
Then I restored that which I took not away. Suffering wrongfully for righteousness' sake. It is written that if you suffer for things that you've done yourself, that's not acceptable unto Elohim. What is acceptable unto Elohim when you suffer wrongfully and you haven't done any harm? Suffering for things that you've done, you don't get no extra points for that. You're supposed to do that. Go ahead.
O Elohim, you know if my foolishness and my sins are not hid from you. Let not them that wait on you, O Adonai Elohim of hosts, be ashamed for my sake. Let not those that seek you be confounded for my sake, O Elohim of Israel. Because for your sake I have borne reproach, shame has covered my face.
Because for your sake I have borne reproach, shame has covered me. Go ahead.
I am become a stranger unto my brethren, and an alien unto my mother's children. For the zeal of your house has eaten me up, and the reproaches of them that reproached you are fallen upon me.
Okay, the zeal of your house has eaten me up. That there is so much zeal that I have for Yahweh's house, it has consumed me. See? So when it comes down to dealing with Yahweh's house, I don't have all these limitations that's going to pop up because of the zeal of the house. Now consider now, this is a psalm of Dawid that Dawid is writing. Yet it is a future prophecy concerning the Messiah. So let me show you how Yahweh works. So Yahweh, see what people start dealing with when they think of, oh man, Dawid is like this great prophet. Now let me tell you what Yahweh do. Yahweh is sending you through hell, so you turn around and write something, yet you don't know it's actually prophetic. Because all you know is what you are encountering right now. Let's go to John chapter 2. Yohanan chapter 2, and let's read verses 1 through 17.
Verse 1. And the third day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Yeshua was there. And both Yeshua was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Yeshua says unto him, They have no wine. Yeshua says unto her, Woman, what have I to do with you? Mine hour is not yet come.
Well, let's say you had a son and you knew he could turn water into wine. You gonna push him out there too. Baby, boo, they ain't got no more wine. Woman, here it is. I got to do all these things. You trying to deal with me with some wine? My hour is not yet come. They ain't, look, it ain't time for everybody to know who I am and what it is I have the ability to do. But see, this also ends up dealing with the holier than thou people, because now we got goodly houses and things like that. So now a lot of us become snooty. Oh, no, that wine, we can't be no drunkards. Wait a minute now. The first miracle that this man performed was turning water into wine. And then, as we'll read, we'll see what kind of wine it was. What they had to say about the wine. Yet you got people that feel like they so holy that they ain't gonna drink no wine. So we can't consume any alcoholic beverages because that would not be holy. So the holiest man that ever walked among us makes wine, but then ain't none of us supposed to drink it. That would mean he created something evil then. Go ahead.
His mother says unto the servants, Whatsoever he says unto you, do it. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of the purifying of the Yehudis, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. Yeshua says unto them, Fill the water pots with water. And they filled them up to the brim. And he says unto them, Draw out now, and bear unto the governor of the feast. And they bear it. When the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was, but the servants which drew the water knew. The governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and says unto him, Every man at the beginning does set forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, then that which is worse, but you have kept the good wine until now.
Right. So he said, this the good stuff right here. This the stuff Yahshua done made. He done made the best wine that the governor done tasted. Man, you did. Why y'all been hiding the good stuff? Y'all don't wait. I thought I was finna get the sorry wine now. So Yahshua make the best stuff. Go ahead.
This beginning of miracles did Yahshua in Canaan of Galilee, and manifested forth his glory, and his disciples believed on him. After this he went down to Capernaum, he and his mother and his brethren and his disciples, and they continued there not many days. And the Yehudis' Passover was at hand, and Yahshua went up to Jerusalem, and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changers of money sitting. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables.
Now, people will sit here and tell you how much they love the Mashiach and how loving he is. They seem to leave this part out, or they some kind of way trivialize it so that they don't really have to deal with it. Do you understand how long this process must have took? He made a scourge of small cords, and he drove them all out of the temple. The sheep and the oxen. How fast you think sheep and oxen move? See, they want to trivialize it and make it just seem like, he did one or two things. Oh no, he acted a plumb monkey fool. He done got a scourge of cords, and he is swinging it until he drag every last one of them out. Hey, a sheep don't just take off running. A sheep ain't a leopard. Oxen don't move that fast. This is an ongoing thing. See? But when people hear you teach in this manner, they think something wrong with you because they have trivialized him, and all of a sudden he was just so nice. He was love. He was this. They missed this part. See? Then he pour out the money and then throw over the tables. Go on one of them mega churches and kick over that ATM and see don't they call the police. Go ahead, go over there, get the ATM and just kick it and tell them my father's house is not a house of merchandise. And sit there. And when they show up, they're going to say you had a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. But they want to trivialize this and make it to be a certain thing. But the zeal of Yahweh's house caused him to do all of those things. And this was a spur of the moment thing now. This wasn't nothing that he had to go and plan out and think about. No. He saw it. The zeal of his father's house made him move immediately. See, that's why we can't get nothing done, because we need to have a meeting so that we can have a meeting, and then we'll have another meeting so that we can talk, put all the stuff together that need to be done, and get it done. Go ahead.
Verse 16. And said unto them that sold doves, Take these things hence. Make not my father's house an house of merchandise. And his disciples remember that it was written, The zeal of your house has eaten me up.
They remembered, see, that it was written, the zeal of his house has eaten me up. But see, Yahweh gave another brother a whole nother set of problems. So he would write about the zeal of his house. And here, Yahshua is then fulfilling the thing that was written of him, not knowing it was written of him. Dawid had his own problems. See, this is the part that people don't consider. Everything that you go through ain't got nothing to do with you. But see, we self-centered and we in the supersized generation. See? Supersized generation, everything for you. Yeah, man, supersize that fried and that Coke, bro. and then leave all of it sitting in the cup holder. Ezekiel chapter 45. So we forget that it's written in the word, you shall not glean the corners of your vineyard. After you go and get the right fruit, the other things that turn around and pop up later, those ain't for you. Those are for the poor. So just because it's in your field, don't mean it was yours. And that's where we end up getting into trouble. We believe everything that's given unto us is for our consumption. Ezekiel chapter 45, and we're going to read verses 1 through 7.
Moreover, when you shall divide by lot the land for inheritance, you shall offer an oblation unto Yahweh, an holy portion of the land. The length shall be the length of 25,000 reeds, and the breadth shall be 10,000. These shall be holy in all the borders thereof round about.
So you have the same thing in the beginning set up as you're going to have in this future kingdom, the way things are supposed to be done with just a little bit of tweaking. Go ahead.
Of this there shall be for the sanctuary 500 in length, with 500 in breadth, square round about, and 50 cubits round about for the suburbs thereof. And of this measure shall you measure the length of 25,000, and the breadth of 10,000, and in it shall be the sanctuary and the most holy place. The holy portion of the land shall be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary.
The holy portion of the land shall be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary. So the priests are supposed to reside in this holy portion of the land because they always got work to do. Go ahead.
Which shall come near to minister unto Yahweh. And it shall be a place for their houses, and an holy place for the sanctuary.
And it shall be a place for their houses and a holy place for the sanctuary. When you go back and look at those old Christian churches, there used to be that house that was always connected to the land. That was where the pastor lived. Why? Because it was always work that needed to be done, and he would be always accessible being there. But see, the thing is, we think that when it starts talking about for the priests, that it's only talking about the head priest. No. The brother that worked the door is a priest. The brother that read, that's a priest. The brother that worked that incense, that's a priest. See? It ain't just one job. See, that's what a lot of times we be like, yeah, that dude right there need to do that. No. That's not the way Yahweh does things. See? Yahweh has a separation of power. The kings don't have the same authority that the priest does. Yahshua was the only one that was a king and priest. Other than that, there was a division of power. That's how you have an effective rulership, so that one thing doesn't get all the way out of whack without somebody saying something. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And the 25,000 of length, and the 10,000 of breadth, shall also the Levites, the ministers of the house, have for themselves, for a possession for 20 chambers. And you shall appoint the possession of the city 5,000 broad, and 25,000 long, over against the oblation of the holy portion. It shall be for the whole house of Israel. And a portion shall be for the prince on the one side and on the other side of the oblation of the holy portion, and of the possession of the city, before the oblation of the holy portion, and before the possession of the city, from the west side westward, and from the east side eastward, and the length shall be over against one of the portions, from the west border onto the east border.
Right. So then we see now where Yahshua will be. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 25. Yeah, you got all these people that say, they going zip-tang into heaven, and we see the land set up of where our God, King, High Priest gonna be, but you want to be somewhere else. Hey, that's a problem. I want to be where he gonna be. That's where I want to be. But believing in these wives' fables got us desiring things and dealing with things in a incorrect manner. Leviticus chapter 25, and let's read verses 23 through 34.
The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine. For you are strangers and sojourners with me. And in all the land of your possession you shall grant a redemption for the land. If your brother be waxen poor, and has sold away some of his possession, and if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which his brother sold. And if the man have none to redeem it, and himself be able to redeem it.
So the man can redeem it. He can buy back that land. Okay? See, the land rights among the children of Israel goes according to families. That is then according to the lineage of the males. Go ahead.
Then let him count the years of the sale thereof, and restore the overplus unto the man to whom he sold it, that he may return unto his possession. But if he be not able to restore it to him, then that which is sold shall remain in the land of him that has bought it until the year of Jubilee.
Right. And in the year of Jubilee, then we find this is when the land is returned to the rightful owner according to inheritance. So people can sell things, but it would be basically like we would call today a lease. Because the land belongs to the family, the tribe in which it was allotted to. See, we got to get the thought process of how we deal in the daughter of Babylon. That's got to leave your mind and your heart. Because you can't go into Yahweh's land, into Yahweh's kingdom, bringing that Babylonian thought process. Well, I bought this mine. Now, well, you need to understand how land goes here. It don't go according to how things went in the daughter of Babylon. See, in the daughter of Babylon, people can pay your taxes and then hide from you and then take your property for the taxes that they paid that you didn't even ask them to pay. Mess around and get behind on your taxes if you want to. On your property tax, somebody end up paying it and then hide from you so you can't pay it back. And then they end up taking the land for pennies on the dollar. And that's legal in this twisted place. Go ahead.
And in the Jubilee it shall go out, and he shall return unto his possession. Verse 29. And if a man sell a dwelling house in a walled city, then he may redeem it within a whole year after it is sold.
You need to pay attention to that. If a man sell a dwelling house in a walled city, then it may be redeemed at any time. Go ahead.
Within a full year may he redeem it.
Within the year. He may redeem it at any time within a year after it is sold. Go ahead.
And if it be not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be established forever to him that bought it throughout his generations. It shall not go out in the Jubilee.
Right. See, you have to know the difference in that. Least you be expecting your stuff to come back. You need to understand. Go ahead.
But the houses of the villages which have no wall round about them shall be counted as the fields of the country. They may be redeemed, and they shall go out in the Jubilee. Notwithstanding, the cities of the Levites and the houses of the cities of their possession may the Levites redeem at any time.
Yahweh has a totally different setup when it comes to the Levites and their houses. See, because they're priests, the ministers of the sanctuary, they have to be able to be called to do the duty at any given time. So they are able to redeem their property rights at any time. Go ahead.
And if a man purchase of the Levites, then the house that was sold and the city of his possession shall go out in the year of Jubilee. For the houses of the cities of the Levites are their possession among the children of Israel. But the field of the suburbs of their cities may not be sold, for it is their perpetual possession.
The field of the suburbs are not able to be sold of the things that the Levites have. Let's go to Numbers chapter 2. See, Yahweh Elohim is not the author of confusion. He has order for a reason. Numbers chapter 2, and let's read verses 17 through 34.
Verse 17. Then the tabernacle of the congregation shall set forward with the camp of the Levites in the midst of the camp. As they encamp, so shall they set forward, every man in his place by their standards. On the west side shall be the standard of the camp of Ephraim, according to their armies. And the captain of the sons of Ephraim shall be Elishama, the son of Ammihud, and his host. And those that were numbered of them were 40,500. And by him shall be the tribe of Manasseh. And the captain of the children of Manasseh shall be Gamaliel, the son of Pedahazor, and his host. And those that were numbered of them were 32,200. Then the tribe of Benjamin, and the captains of the sons of Benjamin shall be Abidan, the son of Gideoni, and his host. And those that were numbered of them were 35,400. All that were numbered of the camp of Ephraim were 100,000 and 8,100 throughout their armies, and they shall go forward in the third rank. The standard of the camp of Dan shall be on the north side by their armies, and the captain of the children of Dan shall be Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai, and his hosts. And those that were numbered of them were 62,500. And those that encamp by him shall be the tribe of Asher. And the captain of the children of Asher shall be Pagiel, the son of Achran, and his hosts. And those that were numbered of them were 41,500.
Where you at?
Verse 29.
Okay.
Then the tribe of Naphtali, and the captain of the children of Naphtali shall be Ahira, the son of Enan, and his hosts. And those that were numbered of them were 53,400. And they that were numbered in the camp of Dan were 100,050 and 7,600. They shall go hindmost with their standards. These are those which were numbered of the children of Israel by the house of their fathers. All those that were numbered of the camps throughout their hosts were 600,000 and 3,550.
According to the house of their fathers. Go ahead.
But the Levites were not numbered among the children of Israel, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. And the children of Israel did according to all that Yahweh commanded Moshe. So they pitched by their standards, and so they set forward, everyone after their families, according to the houses of their fathers.
According to the houses of their fathers. So when the tabernacle of the congregation is set forward with the camp, the Levites are in the midst of the camp. So they move accordingly. This is where their family moves as the tabernacle moves. See, Yahweh is an Elohim of order. Let's go to Numbers chapter 18. Numbers 18, and let's start that at verse 1. We're going to read verses 1 through 24. Numbers 18, verses 1 through 24.
And Yahweh said unto Aaron, You and your sons in your father's house with you shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary, and you and your sons with you shall bear the iniquity of your priesthood.
Right. So this is your job. This is your main focus as far as the holiness of Israel. This is your family lineage. This is what y'all supposed to do. Go ahead.
And your brethren also of the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, bring you with you, and that they may be joined unto you and minister unto you. But you and your sons with you shall minister before the tabernacle of witness.
Right. So then you have various different jobs among the Levites. So when it's talking about the priest, it ain't just talking about the head guy who's sitting up in the front. See, all of those other people that are doing those other jobs, they're still of the house of Levi. They're still of that tribe. So they have to do the other parts. Go ahead.
And they shall keep your charge and the charge of all the tabernacle.
And there are lots of jobs to do. As we just read, there's a reason why I went through those things. And you see all of the things that needed to be done with inside that tabernacle. It wasn't just the one dude in the front. Go ahead.
Only they shall not come near the vessels of the sanctuary and the altar, that neither they nor you also die. And they shall be joined unto you, and keep the charge of the tabernacle of the congregation, for all the service of the tabernacle, and a stranger shall not come near unto you. And you shall keep the charge of the sanctuary, and the charge of the altar, that there be no wrath any more upon the children of Israel. And I, behold, I have taken your brethren the Levites from among the children of Israel. To you they are given as a gift for Yahweh, to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Right. I have taken your brethren the Levites from among the children of Israel. They are given to you as a gift so that you can perform all of the things that you need to perform, so that all of these duties are taken care of. But consider, they have been given their jobs, and the various things that they have to do have been allotted by families. See, so certain parts of the families do this job, certain parts of the families do that job, certain parts of the family do this job, and so on and so forth. When you have the problem concerning Korah, they wanted to come outside of what they were supposed to do to go and do another part of the priesthood, and they got dealt with. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Therefore you and your sons with you shall keep your priest office for everything of the altar and within the veil, and you shall serve. I have given your priest office unto you as a service of gift, and the stranger that comes near shall be put to death.
Right. So when those brothers tried to do things and offer strange incense, they were dealt with accordingly. Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Aaron, Behold, I also have given you the charge of mine heave offerings of all the hallowed things of the children of Israel. Unto you have I given them by reason of the anointing, and to your sons by an ordinance forever. This shall be your of the most holy things reserved from the fire. Every oblation of theirs, every meat offering of theirs, and every sin offering of theirs, and every trespass offering of theirs, which they shall render unto me, shall be most holy for you and for your sons. In the most holy place shall you eat it. Every male shall eat it. It shall be holy unto you. And this is yours, the heave offering of their gift, with all the wave offerings of the children of Israel. I have given them unto you, and to your sons and to your daughters with you, by a statute forever. Everyone that is clean in your house shall eat of it. All the best of the oil, and all the best of the wine, and of the wheat, the first fruits of them which they shall offer unto Yahweh.
The first fruits of them which they shall offer unto Yahweh. So the best part is what they were supposed to give unto Yahweh. So when we talk about the spiritual, the sacrifices going from a natural part to then a spiritual part, the best part you got of Yahweh is your time. Do you give Yahweh the chief part of your time? Or the stuff you got left over? Or the stuff that's convenient to you? If it don't cost you nothing, it ain't worth nothing. Go ahead.
Them have I given you. And whatsoever is first ripe in the land, which they shall bring unto Yahweh, shall be yours.
First ripe. See, once again, first fruit. Go ahead.
Everyone that is clean in your house shall eat of it. Everything devoted in Israel shall be yours. Everything that opens the matrix in all flesh, which they bring unto Yahweh, whether it be of men or beasts, shall be yours. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man shall you surely redeem, and the firstling of unclean beasts shall you redeem. And those that are to be redeemed from a month old shall you redeem, according to your estimation, for the money of 5 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstling of a cow, or the firstling of a sheep, or the firstling of a goat, you shall not redeem. They are holy. You shall sprinkle their blood upon the altar, and shall burn their fat for an offering made by fire, for a sweet savor unto Yahweh. And the flesh of them shall be yours, as the wave breast and as the right shoulder are yours. All the heave offerings of the holy things, which the children of Israel offer unto Yahweh, have I given you, and your sons and your daughters with you, by a statute forever. It is a covenant of salt forever before Yahweh unto you and to your seed with you. And Yahweh spake unto Aaron, you shall have no inheritance in their land, neither shall you have any part among them. I am your part and your inheritance among the children of Israel.
You shall have no inheritance in their land, neither shall you have any part among them. I am your part and your inheritance among the children of Israel. So when you start talking about land and the dwelling, the Levites, the priests, have a different mindset according to that than the rest of Israel, because they're about doing the service of Yahweh. Their living quarters is not as important to them as it is to the rest of the children of Israel. And let me show you how Yahweh will go through that. In the beginning, I had always been one of those people that were very private when it came to, my living space. So I end up telling, my brother that, hey, I'm going to, start opening up, my house to anybody that, read the Bible. He started laughing because he know how I was. And he was like, because my brother couldn't, none of his friends could drop him off at my house. They had to drop him off down the street because I didn't like none of his friends. You see what I'm saying? So they couldn't come to my house. So when somebody just dropped them off, hey man, hold on, bro. Did they drop you off in front of my house, bro? No, bro. They can't drop. They got to drop you off down the street. You got to walk the rest of the way, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to meet them down the street. Don't do that here. See? They me casa, bro. No. Don't bring none of your friends to me casa. So I tell my brother, okay, I'm gonna open up my house to anybody who want to read the Bible. He said, you gonna let anybody who want to read the Bible come in your house? I said, yeah. He said, oh, this I gotta see. I said, look, I need certain things done. He said, I'm gonna do everything you need to be done. You need a TV put right here. You need this work done. You need some painting here. You need sheetrock. He said, I'm gonna do everything. And I'm just gonna sit in the back because this I got to see. Now, it never does occur to you that your walk ends up influencing somebody else. That's what caused my brother to get into the word, because he's saying, there ain't no way this brother finna sit here and let somebody come in here. Because he has known me my whole life. And I ain't never been like that. Okay? I'm the dude who decided I wanted a housewife and then got mad because my wife was in my house when I went to work. You know what I'm talking about? I had to check myself. I was like, man, what is wrong with you? Are you tripping? I was like, that's what housewives do. They stay in the house. But, I wasn't raised like that, so I had to check myself. And that's what this word is. You're going to have to go through some self-checking. And if you don't go through those at times and at certain periods, you're going to have some issues. And some of that stuff done been in there so long, you're going to have some issues. Because that stuff done got comfortable. You're like, no, I like that be right here. No, you can work on this stuff, but leave that right there. I need that. What you need it for? Right. You done got used to that. Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 18 and verse 21. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance, for their service which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come near the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear the iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance.
Among the children of Israel, they have no inheritance, so their focus is on something altogether different. I didn't get the spiritual aspect of that as Yahweh turned my thought process. I thought it was just more about me being able to let other people in my home. We got rid of the sofa, the love seat, the table. We didn't have no furniture. When I got furniture, when we got this place, and we got furniture. I had kids that had never seen a kitchen table. They were like, what's this? What you do with it? You put food on it and eat out of it. It was something their whole life. They had never seen it because that's how long we had been there. See? So when it came down to that, see, we got all that little personal stuff that we don't want to give up for Yahweh. Yahweh gonna make, the proof is in the pudding. See, Yahweh will turn around and take some stuff from you just to get your mind right. And then when your mind get right, oh, by the way, here that go. Matter of fact, I got some better stuff for you. Here go this right here. That's better than the one I took. But I just took it because your mind wasn't right. See, you wasn't right up in here. So I took that stuff. See? So there's some things that we're going to need to get in order. At least Yahweh take it from you just to prove a point. Go ahead.
Verse 24. But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto Yahweh, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance.
All right. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 20. Ezekiel chapter 20, and we're going to read verses 1 through 6.
And it came to pass in the 7th year, in the 5th month, the 10th day of the month, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire of Yahweh, and sat before me. Then came the word of Yahweh unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the elders of Israel, and say unto them, Thus said the Adonai Yahweh, Are you come to inquire of me? As I live, said the Adonai Yahweh, I will not be inquired of by you. Will you judge them, son of man? Will you judge them? Cause them to know the abominations of their fathers, and say unto them, Thus said the Adonai Yahweh, In the day when I chose Israel, and lifted up mine hand unto the seed of the house of Yaakov, and made myself known unto them in the land of Egypt, when I lifted up mine hand unto them, saying, I am Yahweh your El. In the day that I lifted up mine hand unto them, to bring them forth out of the land of Egypt into a land that I espied for them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands.
So he says, in that day that I lifted up my hand unto them to bring them forth out of the land of Egypt, I had espied this land for them. See, I already know where I want you to be. I know exactly where I want you to be. See, I got a piece of land that I want you to be in. This is where everything is going to go down at. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 24. So you see just how Yahweh deals with things. Second Samuel chapter 24, and we're going to first start with verses 1 through 4.
Verse 1. And again the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, Go number the children of Israel and Yehudah.
Now, we had already been given a declaration that you're not supposed to number the children of Israel, and when you do, there's a certain way that you would have to do it. So Yahweh was angry with the children of Israel. Being angry with the children of Israel, he then moved David, and when you get into Chronicles, First Chronicles, it'll then say, it's either First or Second Chronicles, it'll end up saying that Satan moved against David. So how Yahweh did it, he took that hedge out from around David, and the devil is very eager to do any evil bidding whatsoever. This is what the whole thing was about Job. Have you considered my servant Job? Oh man, Job don't fear you for nothing. You got a hedge round about him. How you know that already? Cause I was gonna kill him a long time ago, but I seen that hedge round about him. I couldn't get to him. So he already knew of Job before Yahweh said anything. So we got this thing. So now Yahweh is upset with the children of Israel, and he moves Dawid to do this. Go ahead.
For the king said to Joab, the captain of the host, which was with him, Go number through all the tribes of Israel, from Dan even to Beersheba, and number you the people, that I may know the number of the people. And Joab said unto the king, Now Yahweh, your Elohim, add unto the people, how many soever they be, 100-fold, and that the eyes of my master the king may see it. For why does my master the king delight in this thing? Notwithstanding, the king's word prevailed against Joab, and against the captains of the host. And Joab and the captains of the host went out from the presence of the king to number the people of Israel.
Right. So no manner of talking could get him to change his mind, because he's set on this, and he don't really understand why he's set on this. Jump to our verse 8.
So when they had gone through all the land, they came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days.
It has taken 9 months and 20 days for this to be completed. Go ahead.
And Joab gave up the sum of the number of the people unto the king. And there were in Israel 800,000 valiant men that drew the sword. And the men of Yehudah were 500,000 men. And David's heart smote him after that he had numbered the people.
Right. Because now the demon gone. 9 months and 20 days. He has entertained the spirit. See, a lot of people don't think that they can entertain the demonic spirit that long. Hey? He couldn't see the wrong that he was doing. He could not turn from the wrong that he was doing. Nobody could talk to him about the wrong he was doing until he got done. Now that he's done, his heart smote him immediately. Why? Because the demon left. All right, well, I'm done now. We done did this thing. Anything I can do to get Israel killed, I'm down for it. I appreciate serving you, Yahweh. I'm out. Now let him deal with this trouble. So now his heart smote him because the deed is done now. See, this shows you how justified we feel in some of the actions that we're doing. 9 months and 20 days, he feels completely justified in what he's doing. 9 months. This means a woman could have got pregnant and had the baby, and the baby sitting there looking. This is how long he has entertained this demonic spirit. Right, rattle that one around. Go ahead.
And David said unto Yahweh, I have sinned greatly, and that I have done. And now I beseech you, O Yahweh, take away the iniquity of your servant, for I have done very foolishly.
Now he's able to see clearly now. See, that's what it's amazing what happened when the demon leaves. It is absolute. I've done very foolishly. What? When you hear somebody telling you, hey man, don't do this. Man, why do you want to do this thing? Man, Yahweh add to the number of people, and so many as they are, man. But man, don't do this. And Joab was not a good fella whatsoever. So if he had sense enough to know, hey, bro, I wouldn't do that. Surely David had common sense. But all that go out the window when the demon come and sit on you. Go ahead.
Wasn't that a part of his Psalms too? You know my foolishness.
But see, like I said, Yahweh sometimes will lead you to do things so that you can write whatever it is you need to write, and that ain't necessarily about you. That writing will then be about something that's going to happen 1,000 years from now. But we so damn selfish, and we think that we are the ultimate servants and everything is about us. That's why people can't come out of that live Christianity, because their own selfishness that they've gotten accustomed to. Now I'm accustomed to doing things like this. Right. And the way you're accustomed to is wrong, boo-boo. And if you saw Yahshua in the physical state and he drove all them animals out of there, poured out money and turned over tables, and he did that to set up righteousness in the physical form, what you think he gonna do in the spiritual form when he returns? I would not want to be on his bad side. Go ahead.
Verse 11. For when David was up in the morning, the word of Yahweh came unto the prophet Gad, David's sayer, saying, Go and say unto David, Thus said Yahweh, I offer you 3 things. Choose you one of them, that I may do it unto you. So Gad came to David and told him, and said unto him, shall 7 years of famine come on to you in your land? Or will you flee 3 months before your enemies while they pursue you? Or that there be 3 days pestilence in your land? Now advise and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me.
Consider the choices. Shall 7 years of famine come unto you in your land? So he would drag this thing out for 7 years, and he already has a desired result from this. Go ahead.
And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait. Let us fall now in the hand of Yahweh, for his mercies are great, and let me not fall into the hand of man. So Yahweh sent a pestilence upon Israel from the morning even to the time appointed. And there died of the people from Dan even to Beersheba 70,000 men.
Right. So now they having whatever they believe it is, the Black Plague or whatever that is killing all of them. Go ahead.
And when the angel of Yahweh stretched out his hand upon Jerusalem to destroy it, Yahweh repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed the people, It is enough, stay now your hand. And the angel of Yahweh was by the threshing place of Arnon the Jebusite.
Right. So what's happening as all these people are dying, this pestilence that they see, meanwhile, the angel of Yahweh is slaying all of these people, and the place where he stops is a particular place that is held high esteem to Yahweh. He said, I espied a place for them. So now the angel stopped slaying at this certain place. Go ahead.
And David spake unto Yahweh when he saw the angel that smote the people, and said, Lo, I have sinned, and I have done wickedly. But these sheep, what have they done? Let your hand, I pray you, be against me and against my father's house.
Right. So out of all this time now, it says verse 17. Now we talking about the same dude that entertained the demon for 9 months, 20 days, right? Okay. Verse 17, and David spake unto Yahweh when he saw the angel that smote the people. Then the very one who entertained the demon for 9 months and 20 days, now Yahweh has allowed him to see the angel in a certain place for a reason. Go ahead.
And Gad came that day to David, and said unto him, Go up, rear an altar unto Yahweh in the threshing floor of Arnon the Jebusite.
Right. In the very place where you saw the angel standing, that is the place where you need to go and set up an altar in Arnon, the Jebusite land. That's where you need to go and build this altar. So it was a reason why he saw the angel at that point. Understand? He said, I'll give you 3 days pestilence. He didn't see the angel any of them other days. He didn't see the angel to this point. See, Yahweh is awesome in point making. Go ahead.
And David, according to the saying of Gad, went up as Yahweh commanded. And Arnon looked, and saw the king and his servants coming on toward him. And Arnon went out, and bowed himself before the king on his face upon the ground. And Arnon said, Wherefore is my master the king come to his servant? And David said, To buy the threshing floor of you, to build an altar unto Yahweh, that the plague may be stayed from the people. And Arnon said unto David, Let my master the king take and offer up that seemeth good unto him. Behold, here be oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing instruments, and other instruments of the oxen for wood. All these things did Arnon, as a king give unto the king. And Arnon said unto the king, Yahweh your Elohim accept you.
Yahweh your Elohim accept you. Go ahead.
And the king said unto Arnon, No, but I will surely buy it of you at a price. Neither will I offer burnt offerings unto Yahweh my El of that which does cost me nothing.
I cannot offer up to Yahweh my Elohim that which costs me nothing. So if everything that you offer is in your convenience, it costs you nothing, and it is of no value to Yahweh your Elohim. Go ahead.
So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver.
Right. So now we have to understand what this place is that he has designated. Like, where does Arnon live? Let's go to 1 Chronicles 11. 1 1 Chronicles 11 and verses 1 through 5.
Verse 1. Then all Israel gathered themselves to David unto Hebron, saying, Behold, we are your bone and your flesh. And moreover in time past, even when Saul was king, you was he that led us out and brought us into Israel. And Yahweh your Elohim said unto you, You shall feed my people Israel, and you shall be ruler over my people Israel. Therefore came all the elders of Israel to the king to Hebron. And David made a covenant with them in Hebron before Yahweh, and they anointed David king over Israel, according to the word of Yahweh by Samuel. And David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, which is Yebus.
Right. So it was what they call Yebus, which is what Jerusalem is. So when you look at Jebus, when you say a Jebusite, that is just a person who lives in Jebus. So when you talk about Arna and his land, Yahweh has set forth, that's going to be Jerusalem right there. So he let the angel be seen right there at that place. But you see how David had to go through 9 months and 20 days of absolute, first of all, entertaining a demon. Then he's got to go through thousands of Israel being killed, only to make sure that he builds the altar in this place, because Yahweh has designated this is where Jerusalem is going to be. So the land of the Jebusites, Jebus, is Jerusalem. Yahweh went through all that to make sure that this is how this is done. See, he sets forth which land is important unto him. But see, man looks with his own natural eyes. That's why man can't figure out what's going on. When it was given this question as far as Abraham and Lot. Lot picked the land that he thought looked physically better. That's the same thing we do. We want to go out and we find, oh yeah, this is it right here. Yeah, it's got good property value here. Right. And that's where all the wicked people were. And Abram let him choose first. So you have to consider the spiritual connection to what's going on here. The same thing that happened in the beginning is the thing that ended up happening in the end. Yahweh would not deal with Abram until he had separated him from Lot. Lot is the progenitor of Moab and Ammon. So when you then read in the scriptures where it starts saying Moab and Ammon is separated from Israel, then you consider that same thing is what ended up happening in the beginning. He separated him from Lot. He would not go to the next level of the covenant until he had separated him. And how he did that? By letting him choose a land that was far off from the land where he was going to make his covenant. Go ahead.
Where the Jebusites were, the inhabitants of the land. And the inhabitants of Jebus said to David, You shall not come hither. Nevertheless, David took the castle of Zion, which is the city of David.
Which is the city of David. So, and Yahweh end up letting people come against you so that he can allow you to render righteous judgment. When you consider how we end up getting this building. Me and Lael was coming here to learn some legal things from some brothers who was Egyptologists. They had Egyptian pyramids all around this whole building. They had all their little twisted gods in here. They had a dog woman and I mean they had cat man, dog father, and you know they had all kind of gods up in here. Everywhere we turned, they had some more gods. They had a chess set that had every Egyptian god on the chest piece. Now this thing looked like it was expensive because it would look like it was all sterling silver. And I'm talking about, I didn't know it was that many idols. They had every last one of them. I just remember the dude with the 2 hooks. You know what I'm saying? Dude, oh no, man. They had everything. Everything on this chest piece. So here it is. We're going through all of these things and we're learning these things. And then as we learn, because these brothers were brilliant in law and setup of things, and we learned all of that. And Yahweh sent us to these Egyptians to learn it. Then they got out of here, and then we were the ones to get the building and get everything set up. So you have to deal with the irony that Yahweh set up the house of Israel by sending us to some Egyptians. Yahweh got jokes. It just take you a while to get them. Let's go to Nehemiah chapter 13. Yahweh crack jokes too now. It's just, they just so high up there that it take you a minute. But when we considered it, we laughed. When we thought back at it, like, man. Oh, because do understand, we got grieved several times dealing with these Egyptians. Because while they trying to teach law, they also trying to teach their strange Egyptian God. One brother said, you know, I don't see why anybody would believe in a God. I can prophesy myself. I can chart the stars. And I can prophesy unto myself. And bruh, are you believing the stuff that's coming out of your mouth? He says, nobody should pray to any God. If you're going to pray to yourself. If I pray to me, if I'm a God, all y'all in trouble. I know that. All y'all in trouble, Jack. I'm telling you, y'all better seek a higher power for real, bro. If I'm a God, y'all in trouble. So this brother believed in the self-godship. Man, we had to go through all that. But we went through the uncomfortableness of getting every bit of information that we needed so that we could get this. And we didn't even know that this was what we were getting. We thought we were doing it for some other reason. Boy, Yahweh is a genius. See, but if you up to, you know, what you think, feel, and believe, you're not going to get the things of Yahweh. Because what we thought we were doing and why we thought we were here to learn from them Egyptians was one thing. What Yahweh ended up doing with it was something altogether different. Go ahead, bro.
No, what you just said didn't make any sense as far as what the brother was saying. I mean, you know, about praying, not praying to any gods, but yet still they had gods, Egyptian gods around them.
Yeah, but apparently they believed in some kind of self-godship, that he believed he was a god, and then they had, but see, because when you got so many gods, then why not throw yourself in there? I mean, why not, man? Yeah, you got about 34 anyway, you know, throw yourself in there. See? Then we got Pookie, Lukey, Dookie, we got all of them. It's all of them gods. Eh? So, you know, this was a real strange thing, but hey, we got what we needed to get, even in our discomfort. And there were times that me and Kish was in here, me and Lael was in here. I think Abby was even in here one time, and they ran her out of here, Jack. They ran her out of here one time. They almost ran Lael out of here one time. I said, look, if you don't want to come back here, you don't have to. But I got something I got to do. And I ain't quite sure what that is. But I ain't leaving without it, and I don't know what it is. It was the building. Yahweh got jokes. Did you finish that up, bro?
We never started.
Go ahead, bro. Where we at? Nehemiah 13. I ain't even got there yet. Go ahead.
Nehemiah chapter 13 and verse 1. 555.
Okay.
On the day they read in the book of Moshe in the audience of the people, and therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of Elohim forever, because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them. Howbeit, our Elohim turned the curse into a blessing.
Right. So Yahweh still dealing with those things, even all this time past, that there's a separation between Lot and the children of Abraham. See, the children of Lot is Moab and Ammon. Go ahead.
Now it came to pass, when they had heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. And before this, Eliashib the priest, having the oversight of the chamber of the house of our Elohim, was allied unto Tobiah. And he had prepared for him a great chamber, where aforetime they laid the meat offerings, the frankincense, and the vessels, and the tithes of the corn, the new wine, and the oil, which was commanded to be given to the Levites, and the singers, and the porters, and the offerings of the priests. But in all this time was not I at Jerusalem. For in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, came I unto the king. And after certain days obtained I leave of the king. And I came to Jerusalem, and understood of the evil that Eliashib did for Tobiah, in preparing him a chamber in the courts of the house of Elohim.
So we know that there's a holy portion of the land. We know that there are holy things that are supposed to be done within this court. Now there's an unholy person set up within that court. So you see how Yahweh holds things. So now when it's time to set back up things, now they got to go and do these things in reverse order. Go ahead.
And it grieved me sore. Therefore I cast forth all the household stuff of Tobiah out of the chamber.
Same thing Yahshua did. So, Yahshua wasn't the first one to do it. Nehemiah went in and said, man, this stuff ain't got no business in here, and threw it out. So, when Yahshua does it, he ain't the first one. Go ahead.
Then I commanded, and they cleansed the chambers, and thither brought again the vessels of the house of Elohim,
Right.
with the meat offering and the frankincense.
As Yahshua said, my Father's house is not a house of merchandise. Get this stuff out of here. Go ahead.
And I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given them, for the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled everyone to his field.
Right, because they were not allowed to do the things because of captivity. Okay, so this is why they got to go back and set the things up, because of this punishment. So then as the punishment is ending, now they got to go back and cleanse these things. They got to go back and start over and do the things that they were supposed to have done to start with. Go ahead.
Then contented I with the rulers, and said, why is the house of Elohim forsaken? And I gathered them together, and set them in their place. Then brought all Yehuda the tithe of the corn and the new wine and the oil onto the treasuries. And I made treasures over the treasuries, Shelemiah the priest, and Zadok the scribe, and of the Levites, Pedaiah. And next to them was Hanan the son of Zaccur, the son of Mattaniah, for they were counted faithful, and their office was to distribute unto their brethren. Remember me, O my Elohim, concerning this, and wipe not out my good deeds that I have done for the house of my Elohim, and for the offices thereof.
Remember me, my Elohim, concerning this, and wipe not out my good deeds that I've done for the house of my Elohim. See, because I've reverenced your sanctuary. Remember me for good concerning these things. Go ahead.
In those days saw I in Yehuda some treading wine presses on the Shabbat, and bringing in sheaves, and lading asses, as also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals. There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, which brought fish, and all manner of ware, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Yehuda and in Jerusalem.
Right. All of these stores are open in our neighborhood because we go to them. If our people stop going to all those stores on the Sabbath, they would shut down. They would say, look, man, we ain't making no money on the Sabbath. Because the children of Israel won't buy. But they found out, look, all the rest of their stuff is closed. But if you go over there on the Sabbath, they'll buy from you. Go ahead.
Then I contented with the nobles of Yehuda, and said unto them, what evil thing is this that you do, and profane the Shabbat day? Did not your fathers thus, and did not our Elohim bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet you bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Shabbat. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Shabbat, I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Shabbat. And some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Shabbat day. So the merchants and sellers of all kind of ware lodged without Jerusalem once or twice.
Right. So they coming in so that they can sell things. Go ahead.
Then I testified against them, and said unto them, Why lodge you about the wall? If you do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time forth came they no more on the Shabbat.
So it came to the point where their brother got to threaten, you know what I'm saying, to drop them bees on them. You come up in here and try to sell something, and you gonna leave with knots on your head. And do it like, well, it ain't worth that. We need to go on and leave. These brothers crazy. Right. Somebody got to do something out of their comfort zone to make sure that things run the way that they're supposed to run. Go ahead.
And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and that they should come and keep the gates, to sanctify the Shabbat day. Remember me, O my Elohim, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of your mercy.
You have to consider something. Remember me, O my Elohim, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of your mercy. That means that nobody tell him to do it. It was the zeal of Yahweh's house that have eaten him up. Go ahead.
And you know, when you think about it, don't say that he took 100 men with him or 1,000 men with him.
He did what needed to be done.
And also with Yahshua, we know he had 12 disciples. And they say he took a gang of men and then went and cleared the house out.
And let me tell you something. There's a whole lot of people in that temple, Jack. He stood the chance of having something seriously happen to him, going in there, turning over somebody's money. Because you know, people fight about their money, man. People will fight about their money. All you have to do is he poured out the money, then turned over the table. What you then have done is you mix people's money. See? When you did that. So now they're trying to figure out who getting. No, I had 2 coins. No, I had 4. Wait a minute. No, I had 3. I know I had some gold ones. No, they ain't had no gold. My old man was shiny gold. No, it wasn't. You know, so now you done caused all kind of problems by doing that. He didn't care. Because it shouldn't be in here. See, there's a certain zeal for the house that causes you to do things that you don't need to plan for. You don't need to think for. You just do. Because the zeal is in there for Yahweh's house. And if we ain't got that going in that land, you're going to have some problems. Because there's a whole lot of wickedness set up. I just ended up seeing on TV the huge gay parade that's going that just went down in Jerusalem. In what, Tel Aviv, I think it was? Absolute, I mean huge. And this is supposed to be a place where they keep the Torah. Them lies and propaganda. See, all that stuff can't happen. See? They got all these pagan things up there because the people that they grabbed and took out of Germany and told the whole world that they were the children of Israel, they were all into nothing but idols before. And they brought all them idols with them. So they do enough to make people believe that they are the children of Israel, and then they do all their idol worship at the same time. Go ahead.
Nehemiah chapter 13 and verse 23. In those days also saw I Yehudis that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab.
And Ashdod is in Palestine, and you have Moab and Ammon, the sons of Lot. Go ahead.
And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and could not speak in the Yehudis' language, but according to the language of each people.
According to the language of each people. So there's no way they can at any time keep the culture of Israel. They don't even speak the language. Go ahead.
And I contended with them, and cursed them, and smote certain of them, and plucked off their hair, and made them swear by Elohim, saying, You shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons, or yourselves.
Okay, I need you the thing about this. I contended with them. I cursed them. I smoked certain of them. He slapped the hell out of them. Okay, I'm translating for you. All right. Then I plucked off their hair. You know how hard it is to pull somebody out? And made them swear by Elohim, saying, you shall not give your daughters unto their son. So he making them y'all remember the time when y'all probably don't know if y'all get it, when your mama used to whoop you and she would talk to you while she was whooping you. Why you do it? Pow! Why did you do that? Explain to me. Every time she asks you something, she pop, so you don't really get a chance to answer. Well, I was gonna pow. Have you lost your mind? Not pow. What were the rules of this house? I wasn't supposed to go out. Pow! Right. So while he doing this, he talking to him. Go ahead.
Did not Shlomo, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his Elohim, and Elohim made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our Elohim in marrying strange wives?
Right. Strange wives who have not even heard of the culture of Israel, because they're not dealing with any culture of Israel. But see, this is what happens when you spread out and you have put Yahweh on one side and you put the rest of your life on the other side. And Yahweh sat quiet and let it happen the whole time of the captivity. He just sits there and he watches them marry the strange wives. He watches them get comfortable in this land of their captivity. He watches them have sons and daughters and they don't even speak the language and not dealing anything with the culture. And then it's time to go back into the land. And then Yahweh allows somebody to deal with it. See, people don't understand that their comfort is their biggest enemy. Go ahead.
Verse 28. And one of the sons of Joiada, the son of Eliashib, the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat, the Horonite. Therefore I chased him from me.
He was son-in-law to a Horonite, therefore I chased him from me. So, brother getting down, you understand? So when you talk about the stuff that Yahshua did, he did something even heavier than what Yahshua did. He chasing brothers out. He plucking out hair. He making them say stuff while he doing it. Go ahead.
Remember me, O my Elohim, because they have defiled the priesthood.
There is a strict thing in dealing with the priesthood. See, the priesthood is dealt with in higher regards than the regular part of Israel. So this mingling with the priesthood is exceptionally sinful. Then you mingle with the people who are not supposed to be a part of the sanctuary. Oh, y'all got to kick them out of here. Because if I let y'all stay, then now we've broken other things, which you already weren't supposed to be with them. Now they ain't supposed to be in the sanctuary because they met not us with gladness. But then you done turned around, married them, and had children by them. So there are two problems with allowing them to come. Because deep down, they don't really like us like that. See? Y'all got comfortable because you were amongst them people. See? And that's the same thing we do now. We are amongst people and we get comfortable. But the first sign of trouble, they let you know they don't really like you like that. And they'll come and speak to you. Hi, how are you? Soon as something go down, they let you know. When they caught them fugitives in Tennessee, that white man was saying, they came to the wrong neighborhood. Everybody here loaded down. We all got guns back here. As I be telling brothers, with that little 9mm you got, that ain't gonna do nothing but help you keep your bread. That's all that's gonna do. Cause don't now time think you finna go up against these folk with your little 9mm. You gonna need something a whole hell of a lot better than that. Because all of them were packed. They said point blank, everybody back here loaded down. The man said, I prayed and then I loaded every weapon I had. Every weapon. Did he say every weapon? Every weapon he had. And they said everybody back there loaded down. See, that's how they get down. See? And they know how to shoot it. They're not shooting like, on TV. See, we learn how to shoot from, Menace to Society. We turn the gun out sideways. You ain't gonna hit nothing. That's why innocent people getting shot, wrong people. Right, because you don't know what you're doing. Those folks practicing at the range. See? He said, man, these people ex-military, they all of this. They all loaded up. See? These are things that we don't consider because they're cordial with us because everything is going good. But remember, every time one of those riots broke out, it was always the well-to-do blacks whose land they took. They didn't come into the hood and start they didn't want them hood houses. They took the good folk land. It was black people used to live in Forsyth County. All they did was claim it was some black dude winked at a white woman. Boom, everybody black get killed, ran out, all their property taken. It's $1 million homes in Forsyth County. And that land used to belong to black people. And they ran all of them out based on one so-called incident that nobody can really prove. People don't consider that. We think it's the poor people. No, they ain't mad with the poor people. It's too many of them over there. They still got to make it out. They got sense. It's all right, there's 500 black people over there, and it's 10 over there. Let's go over there. Hey, they got sense enough. I ain't going over there. I got 500 people I got to deal with if I go over here. I got 5 over here. Let's go over here and deal with these 5. Yeah, we gonna tear up these 5. And they are. Because they gonna circle around them 5. They ain't got nowhere else to go. Because when they run, they're gonna run into more of them. Go ahead, bro.
Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 29. Remember them, O my Elohim, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites.
Right. So this is about the priesthood. A lot of people take this out of context. Yahweh always said, if somebody want to keep the Passover, let all his males be circumcised and he can come and keep the Passover. So Yahweh always allowed an entry for other nations to come and be a part with his people. So let this not be some racial thing that people try to make it out to be. But you don't come and hijack the culture without dealing with it. You don't come and just deal with it any old kind of way. You're going to deal with it according to how it's written. Go ahead.
Thus cleanse I them from all strangers, and appointed the wards of the priests and the Levites, everyone in his business, and for the wood offering at times appointed, and for the first fruits. Remember me, O my Elohim, for good.
Remember me, O my Elohim, for good, for all the things that I have attempted to do in reverencing your sanctuary and glorifying your holy name. Remember me, O my Elohim, for good. For there was nothing floated down the hall and told me to go and do this and that. It was the zeal of Yahweh's house that leads us to do the things that we do. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.